Hi guys, welcome to the Fearless Weekly Energy Update for January 24th to the 30th. January has been really full of energy so far. A lot of stuff going on. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of exhausted already with this year. I'm sure I've seen all the memes, the really funny memes about how we're ready to drop the subscription for 2021 and just move straight for it, like don't pass go, don't collect $200, move straight into 2022. We have another sort of interesting week going on. We have some pretty big things happening this week. Mercury retrograde starts. See, already with the mouth, like I'm going to be jumping all over my words with this Mercury retrograde. I can already tell. And we also have a couple of Cazimis happening. That's when a planet is in the heart of the sun. It's about 17 degrees away from the sun. And the sun is basically giving the planet all of its power. So we actually start our week with a Cazimi with Saturn and the sun. We'll get into that in a second. Before I get started, I wanted to remind you guys, I have a love astrology reading. It's called the Love Soul Intuitive Astrology Reading. It's pretty cool. It's not a synastry reading. It's only a limited time for Valentine's Day. So if you would like to see possibly how and where you might meet your divine partner or your match, and the things that you could work on healing or work on raising your vibration with through your natal chart, you can order that on my website, fearlessintuition.net, or you can go to the link in the description box. Either way, it'll take you to the same place. I'd also love to see you guys for the memberships. The memberships are amazing. All of the forecast readings, the January through June forecast readings, are on the memberships now. So if you are missing those, because I didn't put them out on public YouTube this year, you can go over to the memberships and check it out there. We also have daily energy updates that go there and a lot of fun on Discord. We're going to be moving into some member-only things in February where we're going to be working with practicing tarot on each other and stuff like that. So if you're interested in things like that, we would love to have you be a part of our family. And you can click join underneath the box or underneath this video, or you can go to Patreon. That information is in the description box as well. Okay, so this week, you guys, so we're coming into the week overnight. The Sun and Saturn join, and Saturn will be within 17 degrees of the Sun center, and so that is going to be a Cazimi. And so we're waking up on Sunday with this energy of the Sun conjoining Saturn. And so what are the positive aspects that we get out of Saturn, right? That's what we want to ask, because usually the Sun conjunct Saturn when it's not a Cazimi, and not every conjunction is a Cazimi, by the way. But every time we have something, the Sun conjunct Saturn, it's just basically shedding light on how we can, all of the things, the lessons that we need to learn, and the ways that, it's a little bit more heavy, it's a little bit harder for us to get through. When there's a Cazimi, the Sun is actually bringing out all of the positive, uplifting aspects of Saturn. Yes, that's actually a thing. I know a lot of people think that Saturn's this really horrible guy, but and maybe he is. Kronos isn't like the easiest guy to get along with, but he just wants all of us to do better and be better and do things the right way the first time so we don't have to do them again. Take accountability, which is what this is going to show us. Where have we been sleeping on ourselves? Where are we not taking accountability for ourselves? And so we're going to feel this on Saturday as the Sun gets closer to Saturn, and then overnight, and it's going to be really late into the night tonight, unless you're in London, will be super early in the morning. But yeah, so there's this, where are we taking accountability for ourselves? Where do our responsibilities lie? And how can we create things that stand the test of time? That's really something that Saturn wants us to do, is to create with long-term benefits. And it's kind of like, going into the stock market or going into Bitcoin, or, like investing where, you put your money in there and you can't expect like overnight returns. Yes, does that happen? Absolutely, that happens on a rare occasion. You can get some massive overnight returns, but this is something where we want it to grow in time. We want it to be something that we can enjoy for a long-term benefit. And so that's what we're sort of getting this weekend. Sunday, the moon is going to be in Gemini, joining the North Node. And the North Node is about our purpose in this lifetime. And what has the purpose been? This, for the last year, while the North Node has been in Gemini, well, maybe not year yet, but pretty close. Just a couple months away, actually, for that. But it's about getting all the information and getting the right information, you know, and then being able to communicate it effectively. And how are we allowing ourselves to think for ourselves instead of getting caught up in the Sagittarius South Node where everybody else wants to think for us and then make us believe it, right? So Gemini Moon joins the Gemini North Node. Really strong ideas on Sunday. The mind is going to be stable and strong. Very strong instincts with that. The psychic abilities are going to be pretty high alert during these. The moon will be trining Saturn and Jupiter on Saturday also with this moon in Gemini. So it's going to be pretty interesting having Saturn's beneficial, because we don't hear that very often. Saturn being beneficial to us. He really, honestly, he just wants us to do it the right way the first time. Monday, we have the Sun sextiling Chiron, which is a positive aspect to help with strength and confidence within relationships and within yourself. If you have like a Sun sextile Chiron in your birth chart, it's probably a little bit easier for you to recognize the wounds and to heal them than, say, if somebody had, I don't know, like the moon, you know, or the sun like squaring Chiron. That would be a really, really hard aspect because that would be a wounding to yourself. But a sextile is going to be an easier aspect with Chiron. And it's going to be easier for us to process, I think processing emotions and processing and allowing ourselves to have stronger relationships with other people and being a little bit more aware of all of the emotions and the responses that we have to them. That's going to be a thing for Sunday, or I'm sorry, for Monday. The moon in Gemini is also going to be trining Mercury, which just is, he's still in the shadow, Mercury's still in the shadow period, just a couple of days away from going like stationing direct or stationing retrograde in Aquarius. So it'll be really interesting, but your mind is sort of on high alert for the first couple of days. For Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, high alert for those days. Tuesday, we get a shift where the moon goes into Cancer, and the moon is going to be squaring Chiron, like I was just saying. And so having a water moon squaring Chiron that is in Aries, right, that's going to be, you know, your emotions are going to be sort of like right on the surface with that kind of aspect happening. And Chiron's going to be sextiling Uranus, or I'm sorry, the moon is going to be sextiling Uranus and Mars. So there's going to be a lot of highly sensitive things going on. The sun will be squaring Uranus, and that's an aspect where we all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. So there's almost like a buildup that's sort of occurring. You know, everybody has calmed down a little bit since, I don't know if everybody has, but whatever's going on behind the scenes, there still feels like there's some things that are going on behind the scenes. Like it appears to be really calm on the surface, but you know that something is bubbling under the surface. You can kind of almost feel it. And that sun squaring Uranus on Tuesday just might bring it out. You never know what's going to happen when it comes to Uranus. And Uranus has to shift things and has to bring things to the surface and has to make us aware of how things need to change. Because if we just kept going along doing the same thing over and over and over again, we would never get anywhere. It would be like the hamster on the wheel, right? So we have to continue to move forward. And really, you know, it's funny because when you're looking at all of these aspects and you're really wanting to be like, well, Betsy, how do I navigate all of this? The biggest thing is learning how to detach yourself from the reactions of people, the reactions of yourself, the reactions of people. That's something that I teach in the Mastering Detachment workshop. If you haven't had an opportunity to check out the Mastering Detachment workshop, that is a key component to trying to manifest your life. If you really want to manifest your life, you need to learn how to detach from the energies, detach yourself from, and it doesn't mean that you care any less, right? So that's something that we're really, really looking towards, especially as Mercury goes into retrograde. We don't want to attach ourselves to certain outcomes and certain ideas because Uranus is changing everything anyway. So if we get attached to a person or a situation and Uranus comes along and it's like, yeah, but you're not supposed to be attached to this, then that's when the pain happens. That's when the hurt happens because your expectations of that sticking around was much longer than Uranus's expectations of it sticking around. So I'm actually holding that class on February 6th if you'd like to join us and learn how to detach yourself from situations and people. This is really good for people who are like just out of relationships and they're trying to release that person. Like if you've just gone through a breakup and you really don't want to sit in the pain of it anymore and you want to allow yourself to see it see the whole relationship and see the reasons why and learn how to see that all from a different perspective, that workshop's going to be perfect for you. So just had to plug that because Uranus is really making us learn how to be okay with change and to be okay with all of the shifting that's going on. With the Sun square Uranus and the Moon squaring Chiron, everybody's weird side is really going to start coming out. Everybody's going to be sort of like, it can either be the jokester or like the person that's like waving their arms like this, like, look at me, look at me. So, a lot of radical different approaches to things. We'll probably start to see a lot of changes with like the political stuff. A lot of changes are going to be happening with the political stuff and not everybody's going to be happy about it. So we have to remind ourselves that even if, if those people aren't happy about it and they project their fears onto us, how are we going to detach ourselves from that kind of projection? Or those people that are happy about the changes and the ones that aren't so happy about the changes, how do those people that aren't so happy about the changes detach themselves from expectations of that, right? So Neptune is also on Tuesday going to be squaring the nodes exact. We've been talking about this aspect for months because Neptune has been inching its way to squaring the nodes, and Tuesday is the day that it happens exact. So what does that mean? So when Neptune is square the nodes, that just means that nothing feels real. Everything feels like an illusion. So it's very, very important. And through February, it's very important because Neptune will still be in relation to squaring the nodes as it starts to move away. Move away from squaring the nodes. It'll still be within those 5 degrees. So we're still going to feel that. And it's been like that for months. It just kind of feels like there's like a veil over everything. I'm not really sure if anything's real. You're not really sure if anything's real. It's like, when are we actually going to be in reality again? Things will start to feel real again towards the end of February. But here's the catch. If things start to feel real again and you're like shoved back into reality after being in this fantasy world for the last several months, it's sort of like waking up out of a coma that you've been in for 7 years and you're like, oh my God, look at everything that's changed and I wasn't paying attention. So that's why it's very important to stand in your truth. That's why it's always very important to speak what resonates to you and to create that safe space for other people to speak with you as well. Because we're not all living the same lives. Our perceptions of everything is very, very different than another person. And if we get woken up out of this reality in February, out of this illusory reality in February, it's going to be quite a shock to the system. So just keep that in mind for sure. So Wednesday we have the Moon in Cancer, which is trining Neptune, which is square the node. So there's going to be a lot of psychic and emotional feelings coming up. There's also an opposition with Venus and Pluto. Sorry. The moon is going to be opposite Venus and Pluto. So when we have an opposition of any planet, it's sort of like a full moon effect. So especially with that moon in Cancer, as we lead up to the full moon in Leo, which is happening on Thursday, there is that full moon. So there's this ending of a story when it comes to relationships, and there's this ending of a story when it comes to your emotional transformation, and really allowing yourself to see how how you've evolved, how far you've come and how you've evolved, and allowing yourself to pack all of that stuff away. Maybe even pack that stuff away, slap an address on it and mail it across the country or mail it across the world or wherever, like getting rid of all of that emotional baggage and making sure that it's gone for good is really, that would be so super beneficial for you as we're moving into, especially with this Mercury retrograde. I don't know about you guys, but I usually have some exes starting to show up. Well, usually it happens during the pre-shadow period. Yes, that's occurred. And then as we get into Mercury retrograde, at least the first week, they show up. Now, I want you to remember that just because an old flame comes back during Mercury retrograde, that doesn't mean that they're the one. That is actually the opposite of what they are, especially if they haven't changed, if they haven't evolved, if they haven't grown. There's absolutely no way that I want you guys to get back into a relationship. Remember how it was? You know what I mean? Like, that's how I want you to see this moon in Cancer leading up to the full moon, because it's already going to be like full moon affected with this moon in Cancer. So this opposition to Venus and this opposition to Pluto, it's really kind of allowing yourself to put those that old timeline away for good now, you know? And so then we move into Thursday, where the full moon in Leo, it'll be at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be like, kind of like the lion's heart, the courage. The full moon's going to be squaring Mars. It'll be opposite Jupiter. Mars is squaring Jupiter. There's going to be a lot of needing to use self-control. A lot of people, I feel like with this, we'll actually see the division of people even more so, because there will be some anger that comes out. There will be some anger that's shown. Like I said, there's just something that's boiling under the surface that we really can't see quite yet, but we can feel it happening. This day also is the Jupiter Cazimi. So the sun, Jupiter will be in the heart of the sun, and they'll be conjunct. The sun and Jupiter will be conjunct. And this is going to be expanding Jupiter's luck and opportunity for us. There's this chance to allow ourselves to expand upon the ideas. Like, if you've been that person that's been like making plans and setting like long-term goals, but really starting from this present moment, if you've been doing the work and you've been doing the healing, this is going to be a really big opportunity for you to close out chapters finally, so that you can push forward on those plans. I always tell people as we get to Mercury retrograde to not necessarily start something new, maybe finish up some projects. Like, this is about clearing out room in your life so that you can bring new things in. And maybe those new things show up during Mercury retrograde. If it shows up during Mercury retrograde and you're able to just push forward, like if there's no resistance to do something new during Mercury retrograde, by all means, start that new project, sign that document. Everybody, like, I don't want you to stop living your life just because Mercury's going retrograde. That's silly. As long as you've dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, paid attention to all the details, really done all of your research, everything. If you did all of that before Mercury goes retrograde, people ask me that question all the time, but Betsy, what if I want to buy a new car, or what if I want to do this? I had a friend whose boyfriend bought a new car during Mercury retrograde early in 2020. It was like, I think it was the summer one, the one in, I think it was in Cancer. Anyways, it was last year. And he bought this car, and instantly there were problems with it. There was problems with the ignition, like instantaneously. The second he drove it off the lot, the next day it was back to the shop. And I was like, I looked at her and I said, didn't I tell you guys that it was Mercury retrograde? Like, why would you go buy a car now? Why would you do that? It's especially, and it was like and he had been doing his research and stuff and looking for these cars, but then he just sort of was like, nope, that's the one that I want. And he didn't even see it in person. It was like one of those things where you were at the dealership and you saw the Carfax report and you saw the details on it, but you didn't drive it, you didn't see if it worked properly or whatever, and he really wanted that car, and so he signed on the dotted line without even seeing the car. And I'm like, you did all this research and now look at this. So just a little story about Mercury retrograde. So that's the thing, is like, if you really want to do it the right way and you don't want to like backtrack and you're not sure, if you're not sure, then don't do it. If there's any question in your mind, if your intuition is telling you like, whoa, buddy, at any moment, then don't do it, right? You can wait. You can be patient for a couple more weeks and wait until Mercury's out of retrograde, right? But this whole Venus conjuncting Pluto and having the full moon with this effect, it's going, there could be a big opportunity for love and money to be a source of healing for you instead of a source of pain. How often do we think of love and money as a source of healing? With Venus conjunct Pluto, if you allow the old stories to be done and to have that kind of completion, that Venus conjunct Pluto on Thursday with that full moon, man, there's so much healing that's involved in that. And there's so much that you can do with it. So then we move into Friday and Saturday. Friday, the moon's in Leo opposite Mercury, and that's the ending of an emotional story as well. So we're going to be ending stories with this full moon cycle as we move into next weekend. And on Saturday is when Mercury stations retrograde until February 21st. So, and that's when the moon will move into Virgo, and Mercury rules Virgo, right? So the moon's ruling planet will be going retrograde. So there might be a lot of aha like moments where you recognize that you have missed some things. That moon in Virgo can be really painful sometimes when it's Mercury retrograde. So just be very careful about the details that you have missed and really allowing yourself to make sure that everything's wrapped up in a pretty little bow. And yeah, and you know, like just the other things about making sure the technology is good, like update all of your stuff. Make sure your car is all checked out. Those are the things that Mercury is going to probably mess with you on. There are a couple of things that'll be happening while Mercury is retrograde, and things that we'll need to look out for. But I think the biggest one is to slow down. Just pay attention to what you're doing. Make sure that you're really, really aware of every single move that you're making in all moments. Resetting yourself to the present moment so you're not falling back into a past way of thinking. Resetting yourself to the present moment so you're not pining for a future that doesn't exist yet. And allowing yourself to just be kind to yourself. Be a little bit softer, be a little bit kinder to yourself, and let things fall into place the way that they're supposed to. Don't try and force it. Okay, so I hope you guys have a really, really good week. I hope everything is going really well. I would love to see you at the manifesting workshop. Next Saturday is the manifesting workshop. You still have time to get in for that. And then on February 6th, we have the mastering detachment workshop. Both of those workshops are amazing to help boost your life. The manifesting 101 workshop is just to help you genuinely feel good. Like it's not, even if you don't want to necessarily manifest something into your life, if you have been struggling to feel good about things and just feel good about taking the next step or feel good about the next part of your journey, that workshop is going to be amazing for you. It's perfect for you. So I hope to see you guys there. I love you all so much. Have a wonderful week. Bye.